Let's talk about the siding on a cargo van. I know from going through all the pictures, just like you all are doing, that a lot of people choose to use those cedar planks. They're really easy to put up, boop, 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 right up around the van. But I kind of think that those look like a sauna. Like that I should be sitting in my van with a white towel over my lap naked, and I'm not gonna do that because safety. I think it's a little bit too much bro bus and not enough babe bus. It's dark. It is beautiful if you're into that outdoorsy look, but clearly I'm trying to take my old home, the Babe Cave, a historic home, and miniaturize it into the Babe bus. So in trying to think of how I could possibly get that look from that time period into the van, I went back and looked through the pictures of my old house and some of the houses, historic homes here in Wilmington. Let's have a little history lesson with Casey Roman first, okay? Let's go back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. In that time period, when people built homes, like with real wood and without power tools and hard work and not cheap, shoddy materials. Anyway, during that time period, they considered the ceiling the fifth wall, meaning of the four walls in a room that got all kinds of decorations and embellishments, you would do the same thing for your ceiling, and that was very appropriate for that era in architecture. There were all kinds of decorations. I mean, people painted murals on the ceiling. We would see high, dramatic coffered ceilings, plaster medallions, just all kinds of cool crown molding. It was a piece of art that you could look up at, ceiling bling. My two favorites from that time period are pressed tin ceiling tiles and ceiling roses. I would give up state secrets to get my hands on a full room of salvaged tin ceiling tiles. These are very hard to find. When I did the Babe Cave's bathroom, which I've shown you some pictures of, I had to drive 2.5 hours away just to find an old building that they were ripping apart. It was an old bakery, and I didn't use all of them in the Babe Cave. I still have a couple left, but those are a piece of history. I mean, they deserve to be in a building.
You gotta holler at me.
I'm going to cheat a bit and use the newer version of those tiles in the Babe bus. Now, these you can get online. You can get them at Lowe's, you can get them at Home Depot. This is a little cheat sheet, okay? They're much bigger. They're about 24 by 24, 24 by 48 inches, but you don't have the same type of detail. They're very shiny. They're new, but you get the idea. So I have this little hobby where every Saturday and Sunday night I go out and patrol the neighborhoods, specifically their garbage cans, because when people are renovating a house or tearing down a historic home, they will throw all kinds of cool stuff out on the curb for the garbage, and you can find some really cool stuff just by being a raccoon. This family was redoing a bathroom and they had a whole set of the newer tiles out on the curb, and I just picked them up and, like any normal woman would, ran back to my house holding a set of ceiling tiles. Finders keepers. I called my friend JB and voluntold him that he would be recruited for this mission of getting tin ceiling tiles in a cargo van. And luckily he didn't ask too many questions, and up they went. When I was framing the Babe bus, we put a furring strip across the full length, or down the full length rather, of the van, and I measured it at that time to the width of each of the tiles. So a little bit of planning in advance. And then JB and I took wood screws and popped them up one by one all the way down. And I also have crown molding, tin crown molding in a cargo van. Who's a fancy bitch? Me. It took about 4 hours, not as easy as we thought it would be, but they finally got up, and I used a wood screw at this point because the electrician still has to get in there and move things around. So at this time, they are easy to take down. When we get a little bit closer, I'll probably go back with a nail gun and liquid nails and really get them up there. I'm not going to carry the tiles all the way down the sides simply because I didn't leverage enough of them off the curb that day.
So, I mean, this should...
JB was really a trooper about the whole thing until I busted out the ceiling rose, because who the hell puts a ceiling rose in a cargo van? I do. Ceiling roses are stunning and functional. Okay, let's go back to that time period again, late 1800s, early 1900s, when they had plaster ceilings and oil lamps or candles for overhead lighting. Those kind of lights create soot, and so the soot would constantly be traveling up and hitting your plaster ceiling. Well, that's a nightmare to either repaint or work with, so they came up with ceiling roses, and some of them are just amazing, really elaborate woodwork, or typically of that time period, they would use plaster and cast it in a mold. So you would take your ceiling rose and you would attach it to the ceiling and then put your light fixture up, and then as soot and debris and whatever would hit the ceiling, it would cover the ceiling rose, and it was a lot easier to take your ceiling rose down and clean it off or repaint it and put it back up than it was to keep cutting out your plaster ceiling. So these are beautiful pieces of functional art, and I love ceiling roses. They are another thing that if you find a real one, a real plaster or real wood ceiling rose, oh, keep it. I will give you an organ for it. This is not a real ceiling rose. If it was, I would never put it back up inside a cargo van. Instead, this is something else that I scavenge hunted away from someone's driveway. Somebody just tossed this thing out. It's one of the ones that you can get at Lowe's. It's very light. I don't really know the material it's made out of, but I used a painting technique, I'll put that video also below, that makes it look like it's an old gold color, like kind of this rusted gold, like it's been aged or hit with a little bit of candle soot. So I repainted the whole thing, finished it off, and with JB's help, we put it up into the ceiling, and in the center there, I'm either going to put a canless LED light, or probably just to not tick off the electrician any further, I will just put one of those battery push lights, and it will have a ceiling that does the Victorian period proud. I just think the ceiling on the Babe Bus is so pretty. And if I'm gonna be sleeping in Walmart parking lots and truck stops, then I at least deserve to open my eyes in the morning as the sound of diesel engines roar past me and see a beautiful Victorian ceiling. Ugh, I love it. When you open the doors and the light hits it, it actually does kind of sparkle because it's a shiny surface. I'm really proud of that, and I do thank JB for all of his work and putting up with my crap and my crazy ideas to make it happen. If you've got other ideas for siding, please, by all means, share them. Some of the comments, have just been fantastic, of just different ideas and how to do things and ways of looking at tackling a problem that I would never even think of. So there's a lot of people who are about to start building a van, and the more idea sharing that can happen, the better. I think with each generation of van builders, they'll just get more and more badass. So thank you so much, everybody, for the comments and the ideas. I am so hopeful that I will get the van back in a couple days, and then I can actually do finish work, which is really the thing that I'm good at. So say a little prayer for a Christmas miracle for me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.